Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? I'm hoping quite well. I would like to note, however, I slightly misunderstood how much time I had. So I'm currently in the process of uploading a video, but this specific stream is not going to be Leeds United based. No, not even in the slightest. Well, it will be a little bit, but it's primarily talking Euros. It's primarily doing the next step in my little In 3 Words series. And it is going to be covering European football, you see. This is how you say European football. You have to put a little bit of the accent on it. You got to pick your specific type, your specific flavor of European to make it the right form of football. 1 second. There we go. I'm still doing behind the scenes bits because I am really bad at planning. You might have realized this quite some time ago, but let's dive into it properly in a moment. There we go. Okay, cool. So, the Euros are, in fact, here. And I'm going to switch to the better camera. There we go. And I don't know what's going to happen, because there's a hell of a lot that can happen, and we don't know what will. But I figured I was stupid enough to have some predictions last time round in the playoffs. Didn't necessarily go well, but you know what? It might this time. So I'm going to have my guesses on what is going to happen in the Euros this year in 3 words. Now, you might have noticed the Euros already started. Correct. That's because I completely lost track of the date, and the Euros started without me realizing. So we've got to sort of dive headfirst into things right now. So I'm going to go team by team, running through in 3 words what I think is going to happen. Then I'll elaborate a little bit. We'll have a little bit of a conversation with the chat to try and sort of work out what you guys think. And we will also go through who I think is going to be the winners, the dark horses, the golden boot, and ultimately what the dream is for this set of the Euros. So let's dive into it. And we're going to go alphabetically. And we're going to start out with good old Albania, who I think are genuinely going to win a match. Wins a match just sort of makes sense to me because having looked at the games that happened yesterday, I came into it thinking Albania are maybe a bit dark horsey. They're quite strong in attack, and defensively they're they're a little bit iffy. But I came into it thinking I don't know if they're going to win anything, especially looking at their group. But yesterday's matches, in which Croatia looked a little bit poor, Spain admittedly very good, but I think Albania were unlucky to not get something against that Italy side. And genuinely looking at Croatia, I feel like Albania can win that game. And we all know that when it comes to the Balkans, anything can happen. So I'm going to go with Albania wins a match. Next up alphabetically is Austria, who I have said they have been very, very, very unlucky with their group. And that is completely true. Albania's group contains, if I remember correctly, the Netherlands, France, and Poland. Which is an absolutely terrifying group for any team to find themselves in, because you look around it and you go, well, the hell can we do here? France probably going to beat Austria. You've seen this strength of that attacking lineup. The Netherlands, genuinely a very, very good side, both defensively and in attack, and the midfield is relentless. Poland, maybe not quite 100%, maybe not as good, but they've got players that cannot be questioned in terms of their quality, like Szczesny in net, for example. Fantastic. And then it's Austria. And I think Austria have got deeply unlucky with their group, and as much as they will probably do their best to push on as hard as they can, it won't necessarily go too well. Hello, Callum. Next up is Belgium, and I have said they have been quite lucky with their group. I'm going to quickly bring up the Euros groups right now, just to make sure I can fully remember it. But I remember that Belgium is a very, very average kind of group. It's nothing special. Belgium's group is all the way at the bottom. Thank you, Group E. It contains Ukraine, who I think they qualified through the playoffs, which is not really great for them. Slovakia, who are firmly beatable. I had a look through their squad on stream the other day, and there is not really any significant strength in there. And Romania, who I feel will be one of the whipping boys of the tournament unless they somehow manage to get a little bit lucky. Belgium, I feel, walk out of their group, and I don't even know if that's something specifically to do with Belgium. I think it's the group around them. I'm not 100% sure. Next up, we got Croatia. And this one might be a little bit iffy. Leeds United first, England second. This is true, but currently Leeds United aren't playing. So I'm all in. I'm fully committing. And with Croatia, I'm saying they're a little bit past it. I had a look at their midfield throughout yesterday's game against Spain, and Spain, we have to say, have a very, very good midfield. That is without a question. But it's also fairly young and fairly inexperienced. Like Pedri is still like, what, 23, maybe? I know Pedri isn't very old, but we've got to be 100% sure. Let's double check. Yeah, Pedri's 22. Never mind, Pedri's 21. And against a midfield of Modric, Brozovic, Kovacic, I think, they just dominated. Croatia weren't able to do too much, and I've just said they're a bit past it. They've got Modric, who is on the brink of retirement. They've got Brozovic, who is currently out, sort of shipped away, playing in Saudi Arabia, and you've got Kovacic, who sometimes gets games. I think as much as that Croatian midfield is made of big names, I don't think those names are big enough to carry the squad at this point. I think they're going to really struggle. Hence me thinking that Albania could get their victory against them. But I think at the end of the day, we'll find out. They're getting old, in essence. And another side that I don't think will do particularly well is the Czech Republic, who I've gone for a nice little pun on this one. I think that they will check out early. The Czech Republic are a side that you look at the past and you think, oh, Pavel Nedved, what a guy. But you look at their group right now, and it is a fairly weak group, fair enough. It's a group of Portugal, Czechia, Georgia, Turkey. But that Czech team is only average. I'll have a quick look at the squad and see just like Sufel, fair enough, fairly good. Thomas Holles in midfield, fairly good. 31 though, so maybe getting on a bit. Souček is a decent player. Front line, fair enough. Hlozek, Schick, decent players. But outside that, that's a team that struggles. And I feel like there is more quality in the Turkish side. There is more quality in... I don't know if there's more quality in Georgia. But that's primarily because I don't know how well Kvaratskhelia can carry his team in this tournament. We'll find out. But genuinely, I think the Czech Republic will struggle quite a lot in this tournament. Like, there is talent across the rest of that group, and there is talent in the Czech squad, but I don't think the Czech squad is like strong and deep enough, in my opinion. Then we get to Denmark, and we get to our first little Leeds reference because I think that Rasmus doesn't play. Looking at the Danish squad, it's a reasonable side. Yeah, sure. And I think they will come second in the group. I believe that England probably win the group, if I want to be a little bit optimistic. But that Danish squad is solid, is the only way that I can describe it. It's... what's a nice way of saying stodgy? Watching from Germany, a buzz around here at the moment. I imagine, yeah. I'm quite jealous. When is it that we're hosting? Is it the next edition of the Euros that are hosted in the UK? Because I might genuinely try and like get around a little bit to sort of say hello to some folk. That could be very fun. But the Danish squad is very good. Kasper Schmeichel and Mads Hermansen as potential goalkeepers. Joachim Andersen, Vestergaard, Simon Kjær, Joachim Mahler, Andreas Christensen, Victor Christiansen, Rasmus Christensen. That's a lot of Christensens. The midfield's quite good. It's got the likes of Thomas Delaney, Christian Aronson, Christian Norgard, Højbjerg, who might not even play, Matthias Jensen. Up top, Højlund, Skov Olsen's decent. Yusuf Poulsen is consistently reasonably good. 2028 next Euros. Fantastic. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, that Danish side is very good. They're getting out of the group, in my opinion. But I don't know if Rasmus plays. Maybe off the bench a little bit. And the issue is, if he would have played a little bit more, I'd have been quite happy, because it would have been a case of, okay, we can get a proper look at him in case he has to stay. But I do not see Rasmus Christensen playing many minutes looking at the strength of that squad. Hello, Ricky. How are you doing? Now, this is the question. England. I've gone for a little bit of a wild one here. I'm thinking that England, on their route to the final, will beat France. I don't know what else is going to happen on that route to the final. I hope that it goes quite well. That'd be quite nice. But I can genuinely see England making the final again. There is so much quality in that side. There is so much sort of positivity in the way that sort of the team is built. It's built in an intelligent way this time as well. So we're not necessarily saying we're sacrificing defensive solidity for playing Trent because Trent's pushing into midfield instead. I genuinely think there's a good chance at a long, deep tournament run here. And I can see it happening. And I've said we'll beat France, and we're going alphabetically, as always. So following E, we have to go to F, which is France. And I think, paradoxically, there's too much talent in that France squad. There are so many good players there. So many players that have had clubs built around them that, in my opinion, I don't think they'll be able to get away from the ego that is in that squad. Because we've seen what happens when, like, Mbappe throws a bit of a fit. We've seen what happens with previous French squads. When some of those players get unhappy, they can often like go on strike. They can just lose their heads like that immediately. And that would be really, really, really bad for them. But I also feel like it's really, really, really likely. I'm going to hop over to their squad, actually, so I can have a properly good like run through and try and like justify these claims, because I think they're sensible claims. Hello, Colin. But yeah, I'm going to quickly hop through the squad and just get an idea of the players that I think could be problems. So you got Bryce Samba in net, fairly good. Holy shit, Areola's 31? What? Mike Maignan, 28. Not really an ego issue there. They're goalkeepers. Goalkeepers don't tend to do that. In defence, though, Pavard has been causing some problems at Bayern because he's not been playing too much. Ferland Mendy, fair enough, not that much of a problem. Upamecano at Bayern Munich, apparently there were some bad conversations around there. Koundé was part of drama at Barcelona last season because they kept playing him at right back. William Saliba, there's not really an issue there. Klaus, Theo Hernandez, normal. Ibrahim Kanate, fairly standard. Midfield, Camavinga, not really going to be a problem. Griezmann has, I think, been part of drama in the past. Tchouaméni, I think, is roughly okay as well. Rabiot, we've seen be part of arguments. We've seen Kante go over to Saudi Arabia, so I don't know whether he's going to be of the standard. Warren Zaire-Emery is a very, very good player who I could see playing very, very well. And then we've got Youssouf Fofana, who, I'll be honest, I don't know enough about. Up top, Olivier Giroud. I don't see him causing a problem because he's moved on from like AC Milan. He's going to be in his chill era. Mbappe, we know, can cause problems. Dembele, we know, can cause problems. Kolo Muani is I don't know enough about Bradley Barcola, but Thuram and Coman, whatever. But the French have a reputation of being very, very moody when it comes to international tournaments, and I think this could genuinely come back to bite them quite hard throughout this one. So they're going to have to pay a lot of attention to that. Fofana plays for Monaco, and he's quite underrated. Yeah, I know he's a holding midfielder, and he's quite good, but like I don't know enough about like stories that have come out about him and stuff like that. But next up, we've gone from France, that have, I would argue, one of the deepest squads at the Euros, to, I think, the weakest group of players at the Euros. And it's Georgia, who have a very, very thin squad, but at the top of that squad, they're looking quite good. Mamardashvili in goal, really, really quality player. Kvaratskhelia on the wing, a very, very, very good player. Outside that, I don't know what there is. Because they're one of those squads that is very, very good at having players that don't leave the country or don't leave Eastern Europe, which makes them really hard to predict. There's a few players on this list that like I recognize. So if I just do a very quick screen share, don't show the bookmark bar, put that there, and present. bish, bash, and find the right window. Bosh? Is that working? That should be working. Yeah, here we go. Mamardashvili, we know, is quite good. Plays in Spain. Quality footballer. I'll zoom in a touch, so we're just on the names. These guys, nope, nothing. Chakvatadze, I know the name of, but I don't really know much about. And you just keep going, and you're like, I don't know who you guys are. Kvara is probably the best known Georgian footballer maybe ever, and the rest of it is fairly unknown. It's a side that I feel could struggle, or they could be incredibly good. We just don't know what the standard is. And maybe they get out of the group as one of those third place teams, because I can genuinely see the Czech Republic struggling against them, but I don't see them making like a deep run in the tournament. Maybe that's a dark horse thing. I don't know. But some of the least dark horses are teams that have already proven to be quite good. I've got Germany just pissing the group. Looking at the group stage that Germany is going to have to deal with. Let's go back to the scrolly and the group standings. Group A. There we go. So we've already had a game in this group. We've had Germany play against Scotland and batter them. Scotland didn't have a single shot. They still scored because Rudiger put the ball in his own net. But Scotland, piece of piss for them. And I don't think we saw enough defensively from Switzerland or Hungary to stop that Musiala-Wirtz pairing, which is going to be irresistibly good. Genuinely, I can see Germany winning every single game in their group, and I don't know if it's that much of a question. Looks like it's going to be a cakewalk. If it isn't, fair enough. Fair play to Switzerland and Hungary, but it looks like it's going to be a walk in the park. And on that note, I've got Hungary, who I think will only beat Scotland. Germany will beat Hungary, I think, based on those performances last time out. Szoboszlai did his best. Didn't do very well at doing his best, but he tried. And yeah, they scored a goal, but that's not really going to be enough considering how good Germany are. And I can't see Scotland winning a game. They've already lost Ryan Porteous for the entire tournament for a nasty red card in the opening match. Maybe, if there's some good team talking, Scotland can turn it around. But I think that's the only team that Hungary will beat in this tournament. I can see Hungary maybe going out in the groups as one of those third-place teams, but we'll have to find out. Next up, we have a team in Group B, though. We have Italy. And I've gone for unexpected group struggles. Now, watching the game against Albania, I was surprised a little bit by how dominant it felt like Albania were. Albania were a really, really good side that provided a fairly consistent threat. Now, I'm going to see if I can get to the specific stats from this match, because I don't fully understand your website, UEFA. There we go. 1 goal scored, 1 goal conceded. They didn't have that much possession, but that feels like that was a case of just letting them have the ball quite a lot. Let's see the stats and see if we've got stuff like XG. Do we bollocks? No, that would be far too useful. There we go. See more. Match at a glance, don't usually care. Minutes played 77 for Chiesa. Match info, probably not that one. It'll be under stats, won't it? Distance covered, roughly even. Attacking. Are we not doing XG? You pricks. Oh, I really could have done with that. Kind of annoying. But Albania did better than I expected. And I feel like a little bit of that could be a case of weakness from the Italian side, in addition to strength from the Albanian side. Italy will struggle against Spain, because I think Spain are going to have a really, really good run in this tournament. They have so much talent that it's unquestionable, in my opinion. I don't know what's going to happen with Croatia, because Italy and Croatia are both sort of midfield-heavy teams that rely on trying to control the pace of the game, so that could be a fun little interesting midfield battle to watch. But whilst I see Italy getting out of the group, I'm not sure it's going to be as comfortable as they will want it to be. There is a side that I genuinely feel will get out of their group, and it's not a fun group to be in. It's Group D, the group of death. I think Xavi Simons has a little bit of a breakthrough tournament. Xavi Simons has been the subject of a lot of discussion in a lot of circles recently, because He's really, really very good. I think was at PSG, currently at Leipzig, and is trying to work out whether he'll be playing in the first team at Leipzig or elsewhere this season. And honestly, he's such a creative, fun midfielder to watch that against teams like France, Poland, Austria, you need to pull out every single drop of quality you've got in your squad. And I feel like that is absolutely what Simons is going to do. Xavi Simons will be, if he starts, if the Netherlands are smart enough to start him, a key part of this tournament, and we'll have a lot of eyes on him, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of transfer discussion about him afterwards. But I see this being one of his breakthrough tournaments. We've got some words on the Italy front. Dimarco is probably the best left-back in the whole tournament, and Bastoni is one of the best defenders. I agree that they are really good defensively, but I feel like that more comes from sort of the Italian national style, if you like. So when you think Spain, you think passing stuff, you think creative attacking. When you think Brazil, you think skill moves left, right, and centre. I'll be 1 second. I am very quickly getting a call that I'm going to have to pick up. I'm back. Sorry about that. That was fun. Yeah, I think Italy have the whole Catenaccio thing where they focus primarily on defense and solidity, and that's sort of a tradition. But in terms of the rest of the areas of the pitch, I think that is where they will begin to struggle. After the Netherlands, where I think that Xavi Simons will be the source of a lot of conversation, we need to talk Poland. No Klitsch? Screwed. I mean, it's understandable that they've not got Klitsch, but this is more of a having a look at the strength of the group. I think they could be in deep trouble. It's the one with the Netherlands, it's the one with France, it's the one with Austria. I think they are going to be knackered, basically. They're going to struggle quite a lot. I'm going to have a quick skim of their squad again. Szczesny is very good. We know this. But some of their best defenders, including Kivior, is a little bit risky, iffy. A midfield of... It's also a struggly one. Like Jakub Moder, decent enough. Kamil Grosicki, decent. Piotr Zielinski, good. Two different Szymanskis, which I forgot about. Urbanski is a very, very good young player, but I don't know whether there is enough, if Lewandowski is potentially not fit, to get them out of that group. It's a danger, I think, basically. But then we get a team with a significantly kinder group. We get a team that is vibing all the way down in Group F. We're going to take a visit all the way on the bottom. We're going to talk Portugal. And before I hop into my specific three-word prediction for Portugal, we're going to have a look at the squad. All three of these goalkeepers could start for the majority of teams at this competition. Semedo, decent enough right winger. Pepe, you confuse me. Ruben Dias is probably the best centre-back at the competition. Diogo Dalot is good. Inacio is solid. Nuno Mendes is a brilliant wing-back. Cancelo is Cancelo. We know what he can do. Antonio Silva, I'll be honest, I don't know much about. João Palhinha is an incredibly sought-after defensive midfielder. Bruno Fernandes is Bruno Fernandes. We think he's a prick, but he's good at what he does. Bernardo Silva, alongside him, is going to be insane. Danilo is strong enough. João Neves is one of many, many young wonder kids that are probably going to come through in this tournament. Mateus Nunes is consistently a very good footballer. Ruben Neves, we know, can just decide to score goals from time to time. And Pedro Neto is a fantastic attacking threat. I don't know enough about Vitinha. I think he plays for PSG off the top of my head, but who knows? Him, I genuinely don't think he's even the best centre forward at that side at the moment because they've got Gonçalo Ramos. But Rafa Leao is one of the most exciting wingers around. João Felix is consistently a good footballer. Diogo Jota, genuinely, unluckily for him, I don't see starting that much because of how strong the squad is. And Conceição, I don't know that much about. But you got to have a couple of players that you don't know that much about. Basically, I've got Portugal as one of my favourites. Portugal are going to make a deep, deep run into this tournament, and the only way they don't is if they have a historic collapse. I don't know whether that will come in the form of the players losing their heads, or that will come in the form of just the squad itself not having cohesion. But even the coach, even Roberto Martinez, is really, really good at what he does. Howdy. Also, remember to like and subscribe. Ta. But there's no way that Portugal don't have a good tournament without it being a disaster. There's no way of them having a dignified exit early, if that makes sense. Next up, the opposite of Portugal, we've got Romania. I think they're maybe the worst squad. I say maybe. I think they're probably definitely the worst squad. I know Dragusin-ish. Can't tell you where he plays. I think it might be Serie A, but I'm not certain. I know Yanis Hadji, partially because his dad was a good footballer. Stanciu, I recognise your name. Forwards, that feels like cheating. Excuse me. Fans of my Football Manager series will be fully aware of the importance of Dennis Mann. I've changed my mind. Romania are winning the group. Romania are winning the Euros through the power of Dennis Mann, who I definitely didn't sign because he sounds like a middle-aged superhero. Who are you? Spider-Man? Superman? Iron Man? Dennis Mann. Brilliant. But whilst I had Romania as my probable worst, Scotland are definitely the worst. They conceded 5 goals in the opening match. And it honestly felt like Germany didn't leave first gear at any point. They slapped them silly. It could have been double digits if Germany gave a shit. And Scotland, I maybe will get a point. I don't know. But they're not getting out of the group. I'd love to be kind to them, but they do not deserve it. Very bad. Very good, however, is Serbia's front line, which is very, very scary. Outside of the front line, I think Serbia are sort of average. I'm saying this ahead of England playing against Serbia, which is a spooky thing to do, because anything I say here will be used to curse the team. But I think that front line is all that Serbia really have. So bringing back the squad, Radkovic, reasonable. Milinkovic-Savic, fairly good. In defence, they're okay. Throughout midfield, Gudelj is good. Mihailovic is reasonably good. Samajic is okay. Milinkovic-Savic, very, very good player. Not even going to deny that. But it's the front line that is where we need to be scared, because Luka Jovic is a very incredibly effective player. Vlahovic, we know, is a top-tier footballer. Tadic, brilliant. Mitrovic, very good. Kostic, fantastic. Zivkovic, he's all right. I don't know enough about Ratkov. But considering the players that are around him, it's the front end of Serbia that are scaring me. And I think they can very potentially get out of this group, because I think it's something like 4 of the third-place teams go through. And I can see them making it into that. if they have decent enough performances against Denmark, against Slovenia. I don't know. But whilst this is a very top-heavy side, next up we got Slovakia, who are a very bottom-heavy side. So having a quick look at the Slovakian squad. Why does this always take so long to hop between pages? They've got a bit lucky with the group they're in. Potentially they can get out. But the squad isn't that good. Marek Rodak and Dubravka in net, all good. Fine by them. In defence, they've got David Hanko, they've got Skriniar, but you keep going forwards, and there's not much. Fairly thin in midfield. In defence, they're okay. In net, they're fine. But I think it's going forward where they're going to struggle. I don't think they're going to score enough to really make an impact. On the subject of specific parts of a squad carrying, Slovenia. Jan Oblak in net. Benjamin Sesko up top will, I think, be carrying that Slovenian side. If they have bad tournaments, then Slovenia will have a bad tournament. It feels like Slovenia are going to go out in the group stage, to me, because they've not got lots of quality. And they're against a Serbian side that is very, very good throughout. Well, I say throughout, at the front. They are against a Danish side that is good throughout. I said the wrong one earlier. And they're against an England side that we know can show up or not show up, but either way, the sheer quality of that England squad in terms of individuals is wild. So I think they are going to find the group they're in very, very problematic. And on the subject of finding things problematic, are Spain going to find their youth problematic? Now, I want to say no, because they just beat Croatia senseless. But the thing with tournament football is it's not your first match that defines you. It's the late ones. And winning a single game against Croatia is easy enough. Winning your first two group games, fine. It's when you get to round of 16, quarterfinal, semi-final, final. Spain clearly have a lot of talent in their squad, but whether or not that fully converts, I'm not certain. Whether or not those nerves kick in and they start to have issues based on that is questionable. And I think there's a lot of potential for stumbles. Looking back on the Scotland thing, by the way, Colin is of the opinion that Wales would have done better than Scotland. I completely agree. Wales have a better squad than Scotland do, and Scotland did a lot of relying on McTominay throughout qualification. The Euros and international football as a whole are about your quality in depth, which is why I think the teams like Slovenia are going to struggle. And another side that I don't think will struggle is Switzerland. I think they have a very, very subtly very strong squad. Because the Swiss squad admittedly eked their way past Hungary, which, I mean, fair enough. But Jan Sommer in net is brilliant, without a doubt, and they've got Kobel behind him, who is also fantastic. In defence, Manuel Akanji is irresistibly good. Fabian Schär, maybe not the best, but around him, there's solid enough defenders. Plus, they play a 5-back. I mean, it's boring, but it works. In midfield, they're in a position where they don't even have to play Denis Zakaria because Remo Freuler, Granit Xhaka, Ruben Vargas, very, very good footballers. Granit Xhaka, by the way, is doing the thing again, where he just decides when he's playing for Switzerland, oh yeah, I'm a really good footballer, and things start working out for him. I love it. Up top, I think the player to watch for them is going to be Brie Embolo, because he's returned from a fairly long injury, scored a goal yesterday. Incredible footballer. Noah Okafor, another one to look at, part of the Red Bull stable, I think, still. Carrying the number 9, didn't play the first match, so I think he might have a knock, but I'm not certain. Richard? Maybe not. But a squad that's significantly less strong, that I'm going to spend a little bit less time on, but there's one player that I want to pay attention to here is Turkey. Because what is the role of Arda Güler there? Arda Güler is, if you don't know, a young attacking midfielder that plays for Real Madrid. I put plays in these because he's not really getting in at Real Madrid. But then again, it's really hard to get in at Real Madrid. But we know that Güler is a really, really good player. He's set to basically become a big part of the Madrid squad next season. But for me, there's a big question around what his role is in this squad. So I'll have a quick look at their midfielders. Right, Yokushlu likely to start because he's very good. Kalanoglu plays in the same position as him-ish. He can drift wide a bit. I think Koku is a defensive midfielder, and Guller's down as a forward, which is a bit weird. They've got a lot of forwards. But I, without a doubt, think Goulet is good enough to start. If he doesn't, I'll be quite surprised. Kiliksoy is someone that I wouldn't expect to start, but is a quality striker. He's down as one of the best in the world under the age of 18, which, fair enough. It's a list that also contained Archie Gray, so that's the sort of standard that they're talking about here. But I've just seen Turkey's form. Wow. I think they're going to rely on those young talents quite a lot if they're going to get much out of this group. When it comes to getting a lot out of the group, I think Ukraine is another big one, because I think the group stage will set the tone of their tournament. If they have a strong group stage, if they come through with plenty of wins, they're going to look good. Yeah, they probably won't beat Belgium, but if they win their other two matches, spectacular. They're in a good position. They're in the driving seat. If they sort of stumble and trudge their way through, there's potential of heads dropping. Ukraine is one of those sides that, for obvious reasons, in the last international tournament they were in, were hugely pushed on by like a lot of big international spirit stuff. Everyone wanted them to do quite well, and that sentiment is sort of lessening a bit. Not because their problem is lessening, that is still present, but it's less visible. And Lunin, fantastic goalkeeper. But you're looking through the squad and you're thinking, this is a sort of okay bottom-end Premier League squad. So the fact that they'll be relying on Mudryk to do quite well could be a problem for them. Dovbyk, very good player. I think he plays for Girona. But I don't know what their sort of depth of squad is looking like, if it's going to be a comfortable enough side. I'm not certain. But now we're into some looser points of discussion. We're into the loosey-gooseys, the conversation around predictions for the wider tournament. For the dream, I'm hoping for England. It'd be nice if we could win an international tournament, wouldn't it? Why not now? Why not win the Euros, and then the next set of Euros we're in is the home set of Euros, and we'll win that one too? That'd be wonderful. Don't know if it'll happen, but there's no reason for it to not, because we've got a really, really strong squad here. Afternoon, John. How are you doing? I'm hoping very, very well. That would be the dream. Whether it's the reality, we'll find out, and whether it's my prediction, we'll find out. But I've also predicted the Golden Boot, and for the Golden Boot, I'm going to go for some pen merchant. You don't win the Golden Boot in an international tournament without taking penalties. Last time in the World Cup, it was fought out between Mbappe and Messi, both of whom were taking penalties for their country. The Euros before that, it was won by Kane, who was taking penalties for England. If you want to see who's going to win the Golden Boot in a tournament, look for someone that's at least going to get to the semi-finals who takes penalties, and that'll decide it, basically. In terms of dark horses, I've gone with Serbia. I think they've got a surprising amount of potential. I think although it is a fairly weak squad outside the front line, I think that front line is dangerous enough to cause some damage to some squads that might underestimate them. Weirdly, also dark horses for me. I think Denmark have a very low-key, very good squad, and it's similar for Switzerland. All three of those sides I can see making surprise runs relatively deep into the tournament, but we'll have to find out. And now my actual final prediction. My prediction for who's going to win the Euros. I'm going with England. It's coming home, baby! Let's get Baddiel and Skinner on for the month. You know what? You know what's surprising? It's sunny. It's the summer. It's so nice outside. I've ruined my lighting levels. But I genuinely feel like on the start of the football, the whole climate has changed. Things are sunnier, things are warmer, things are happier, and things are going to go absolutely spectacularly. It's coming on. Why not? But ultimately, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below. Like the stream video if you haven't yet, and subscribe. And if you're watching this on a VOD, I will see you later. But if you're not watching this on a VOD, let's stick around and have a bit of a chat. It's pissing down here. Well, it's fine here. Hold on. I'll pop that open again, and I'll just... It's so sunny! It's so nice! It's so good! I can't be pissing it down. That's no fun. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a quick stream redirect. I'm going to stop sharing the tab, and I'm going to pull you guys over that sort of direction, because I was going to do a very, 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 very quick FM stream until like 1:30, at which point I'm going to throw people over towards Joe's channel, because he's doing his watch-alongs. And I'll tell you what, they are genuinely nice watch-alongs. It's like a 3-hour-long podcast. It's very good. What's going on with my finger? Ignore that. Right, channel dashboard. Let's go to... Why have I forgotten how to start a live stream? Go live. Schedule a stream. Reuse settings. And change that. You guys are going to love the title of this next stream. It's very weird. Cogs turning. I ain't got no cogs. There is no cogs to turn. Cool. That is sorted. And yeah, let's arrange it for that time, which is in 2 minutes. Spectacular. Edit that. No, I'm not editing sponge pegs. You will learn why it's called sponge pegs at the start of that stream, by the way. Monkey with symbols. I mean, that's close. That's genuinely not far off what it feels like to be in my head half the time. I think I kind of see what you mean, because I've always tried to sort of like cultivate that sort of good vibes group, which I'm glad that like comes across, because that makes me happy. Okay, redirecting to sponge pegs. Let's save that. And I will end that stream in a moment. Let's pull that up, which should be working already. Maybe. Perhaps. Okay, cool. So I'm going to pull it over there. Cool. I'm going to end the stream, and it should redirect you directly over to the FM one, which should be very, very nice if you can do so. So, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later, whether that's in about 13 seconds or not in about 13 seconds. I say as I connect to the wrong thing. Bosh. Cool. See you momentarily.